Hello, boyos and girlos. This week is Asexual Awareness Week, so I decided that for this week I will do a video discussing the asexual representation in Bojack Horseman. Um, Now, Bojack Horseman is one of the very few shows to actually have an openly asexual character, multiple even. Um, which is very important because um, asexuals don't get very much representation. I talked about this a bit in my asexual headcanons video, but um, a lot of um, asexual representation isn't very good, and there isn't a lot of asexual representation. So to have not only good asexual representation, but really good asexual representation in BoJack Horseman. It's special. Um, so this arc kind of starts in season 3 of the show. Minor spoilers for BoJack. There's nothing too major. If you haven't watched the show, then you're probably fine. But minor spoilers. Um, it starts in season 3, um, where we we see in one episode it's basically like 7 I think years before the show started, um, and in a side plot, we see Todd as a teenager, um, and his friend Emily, who becomes pretty important to the asexuality story. Um, he asks Todd, "Hey, do you have a crush on anybody?" And Todd says, "No, I don't." And then Emily's like, "Well, you have to have a crush on somebody." And then Todd's like, "Oh, I don't know, this girl because everyone else likes her." Um, and then later, on the episode, Todd and Emily they hook up, and Emily tries to have sex with Todd, but um, and he's about to go along with it before they almost get caught, but you can see that like Todd is it's very windy outside. You can see that Todd is very nervous, and like he clearly doesn't want to do this. Um, and then later, a few episodes later, uh, we see in the present we see Emily and Todd, and throughout the episode, Emily keeps wanting to have sex with Todd, and Bojack is even saying, "Oh, look, got a room and nobody's in it. Do you want to test the bed?" And you know Todd, you know Todd's still very hesitant about it. Um, and what's interesting here is that clearly, Todd doesn't know that he's asexual, but like he doesn't, obviously he doesn't feel like he wants to have sex, and is very confused about what he is. This also comes up in the season 3 finale where Todd says, "I don't think I'm gay and I don't think I'm straight. I don't know what I am. I think I'm nothing." Um, and I think it's very interesting that they don't use the word asexual at all in season 3, despite season 3 being the start to Todd's asexual story. Um, but I think it's very realistic, at least coming from my experience, where that's kind of how I felt. Like, for a while, I would always say that I'm straight, but I didn't really know, like, am I straight? Am I gay? What am I? Um, and we see that Todd's not really sure what he is, but like he still wants to please Emily because he does like her. Um, it's interesting. Um, and then in season 4, that in the first episode, Emily says she says Todd is asexual, and at first Todd says, "Oh well, I don't know if that really describes me." Uh, again, reinforcing the fact that Todd doesn't really know what he is, and he doesn't feel comfortable saying he's anything. And throughout the first episode, we see that Todd is um, kind of confused with labels. We see that there's a funny joke in the episode where Todd, like, he gets elected governor after some crazy shenanigans. Um, and Todd's like, well, I don't really feel comfortable with labels right now. I think I speak for all of California when I say I drifted through the sky on a drone throne or something like that. It's funny. But it also shows that like it's reinforcing the fact that Todd, he doesn't know what he is, uh, and that's kind of what I went through a lot when I was trying to realize that I was uh, asexual. Like I was like, I don't, I'm not completely sure that I'm straight, but like I didn't really know what I really was, and it kind of took a while to fully realize that I'm asexual. Um, and then in the Todd episode, um, Todd finally says uh, that I'm asexual, and I really like the moment where Todd realizes he's asexual. I like how he says, "It feels good to say it out loud," because that's exactly how I felt when I realized I was asexual. Like I was just like, "Yeah, I'm asexual," and like it felt good to finally be able to say it out loud, and to tell people, "Hey, I'm asexual." Um, it felt good, and you can see that in this episode that Todd is a lot more comfortable and accepting of the fact that he's asexual. And there's also a really good moment in there where Bojack says, um, pretty much Todd and pretty much Bojack and Todd are they're talking about their friendship and stuff, and Todd says, "Well, I don't really feel comfortable, being friends with you yet, but we can be more than not friends." And Bojack says, "Well, for an asexual, more than not friends is probably the best it's gonna get." And then Todd says, "I really don't feel comfortable making a joke about it yet, but I like talking about it." And I think that's a really good scene, not only for the asexual story, but also for Todd's character. Um, it's good, for the asexual story because, um, if this were any other show, if this were any other adult cartoon like Family Guy or Mr. Pickles, or even good adult cartoons, like if this were on Rick and Morty or like Futurama, it would have just been the joke and that's it. But here you clearly see that the show is trying to treat asexuality the with as much respect um, as they can. And so Todd's saying, "Hey, I don't like it when you make that joke." It's kind of like you know, us as asexuals telling other people, "Hey, we don't like it when you make insensitive jokes like that." Um, but it's also good for Todd's character because um, if this joke were to be made in like season 1 or 2, Todd probably would have just accepted it, and he would be upset, but he wouldn't like stand up for himself. But we see that Todd's grown as a character because he's saying, "Bojack, I don't like it when you make that joke," um, which is really neat because in early season 1, Todd was sort of the Meg of the show, where he'd just get take abuse from Bojack and not really do anything about it. But he's grown and he's saying, "I don't like that joke. Don't make it, please." Um, and I like how the season, it says, well, some asexuals, they're also aromantic, but some do like to date people, and do feel romantic attraction. Um, it's educational, but it's not like shoving this down your throat. Um, and yeah, and in season 5, we probably get, other than, no, I'd say probably a bit more than Hooray Todd episode. We get the most, asexual heavy episode, Planned Obsolescence, where basically Todd has to, he's on, he's meeting his asexual girlfriend, Yolanda's, parents, and he has to pretend that, they're sexually active because, his mom is like, or not his mom, Yolanda's mom, uh, starred in like a bunch of porn movies. Her sister's a slut, and her dad writes pornographic books or something. Um, and it's funny because, obviously Todd is trying so hard to, sound like a horny man, but he can't. Um, and there's a bunch of goofy shenanigans in there, but, it, it also works because, um, even if this, even if it is goofy, um, asexuals can still relate to it. I can relate to, having to pretend to be straight, not because I was worried that my friends would judge me because I'm asexual, because my friends are honestly cool with that, but because I wasn't, for a while I wasn't sure if I was straight or gay or asexual or whatever. So, I'd pretend to be straight because I didn't want my friends to think I was something if I didn't even know what I was. And my nose is itchy. But, yeah, and eventually Todd, he breaks up with Yolanda um, because they don't have much in common despite them being asexual. Um, and I think that was good because, I feel like a lot of asexuals, they feel like they need to date someone else because they're asexual, um, and in reality they might not have very much chemistry. Um, so I think that was interesting. Um, and in later that season, Emily comes back and, Todd says, "Oh well, maybe I do want to date you," and Emily's like, "Yeah, but I want sets," which obviously Todd, he can't give her. They do bring up, well, some asexuals do have sets, but clearly Todd is not okay with. He doesn't want to have sets, um, and Emily also creates a dating app for asexuals called All About That Ace, and we see Todd using it at the end of one episode, but the asexual story kind of ends in that episode, so hopefully that gets picked up on in season 6. Um, but yeah, uh, I think Bojack really handles the asexual stuff with respect, just like it handles everything with respect. It's still it's still true, everything it says, but it doesn't come off as too preachy or too in your face, but it's still respectful and it's still dignified, which I really like. Um, and not only that, but the Bojack also helped me realize that I was asexual. I did know what asexuality was before Bojack, and I had already thought maybe I'm asexual, but I think the main thing keeping me from completely, just saying I'm asexual, is that I I thought it was weird. Like I didn't think that. Like I see, most people are like, yeah, I want to have sex and I love hot women, um, but I didn't really know anyone who was also asexual, and to me, it's like, I don't know. It was just weird that I didn't feel uh, any sort of sexual or romantic attraction. Um, so I would kind of try to convince myself that I was straight, even if deep down I knew that, you know, maybe I'm not. But seeing it represented in Bojack, it made me realize, hey, this might be what I am. And I didn't, see it and immediately say, yeah, that's who I am. I'm asexual. But it still took me a few months to fully grasp the fact that I'm asexual. But it definitely helped me. And that's kind of why representation is important because, so many people, they feel that, like, being gay or bi or asexual or transgender or pansexual or whatever, um, it's weird and that they should just be straight. So when you see this representation in movies and TV shows, then it makes you feel more valid. It makes you feel like, yeah, this is a real thing. This is what I am. Um, and yeah, I think BoJack, it handles asexuality very well. Um, and I hope we get more shows in the future to have openly asexual characters. I know there probably are some other ones, but I don't know of too many, and I think BoJack handles it very well, and um, yeah. So, I don't know if you watch BoJack, then please let me know how you feel about Todd's asexual arc, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Laters.